My name is Haley Monroe. I'm 27. And if you think you know how this ends, stay tuned. What happens when the people you bled for pretend your sacrifices never existed? The room froze after Dad's words. Mom's smirk curved like a blade, slicing into the air, while my sister shifted in her chair, eyes glittering with smug victory. For years, I had carried them, rent, utilities, even the mortgage top-ups when Dad's pension fell short. Every paycheck I earned, I split. Every dream I shelved for them. And yet, here they were, erasing me in one sentence. My hands trembled, not with weakness, but with clarity. Their denial wasn't confusion. It was betrayal, deliberate and cruel. I glanced at the old photo on the wall. Me at 16, holding 2 jobs, still smiling. Back then, I thought love was measured by sacrifice. Now I knew better. In this family, love was measured by lies. Mom's voice snapped me back. Haley, stop exaggerating. Your sister has always been the responsible one. We never asked you for anything. I laughed, a sharp, broken sound that startled even me. Responsible? She couldn't balance a checkbook if her life depended on it. Yet here I was, painted as the selfish one. I locked eyes with my father. Every bank transfer, every receipt, I saved. If you really want to erase me, fine. But don't you dare erase the numbers. Don't erase the truth. Silence. The kind that weighs like thunder before a storm. My sister bit her lip, suddenly nervous. And in that silence, I realized the ledger of my life wasn't empty. It was full, overflowing with proof. They thought they buried me in denial. But numbers don't lie. And soon neither would I. The night I walked out of their house, I carried nothing but my purse and a flash drive. On it sat every transfer, every memo line, every single dollar I had funneled into their lives. $1,200 for the leaking roof, $800 for Mom's dental crown, $2,500 for Dad's emergency loan that was never repaid. Add it all up, almost $61,000 over 7 years. And now they claimed they never received a cent. I drove home with the steering wheel shaking beneath my grip. Betrayal has a strange sound. It isn't screaming or glass breaking. It's the quiet hum of tires on asphalt while you replay every memory and realize it was built on lies. By morning, my phone was buzzing. 50 missed calls, half from Dad, half from my sister. I ignored them all. Instead, I printed the bank statements, every one in crisp black ink, and laid them across my kitchen table. It looked less like family support and more like evidence in a courtroom. When Mom finally texted, her words dripped honey and poison. Haley, don't make this bigger than it is. We all know you struggle with exaggeration. Just let it go, for the family's sake. Exaggeration. My blood boiled. I wasn't exaggerating. I was exhausted. At work, I forced myself to smile through meetings, but the truth followed me everywhere. I remembered skipping vacations, skipping nights out, skipping the life my 20s should have been, all because my family's bills came first. And now I was painted as the liar. That evening, I called my bank manager. I need certified records. Full documentation. All the transfers to my parents' account. She hesitated. Are you filing something? I swallowed hard. Let's just say I'm preparing for the truth to come out. I stared at the stack of papers, the story of my life in black and white. My sister could smirk. My parents could chuckle. But soon, their laughter would choke on the weight of evidence. Because if they wanted to erase me, I would carve my name back into the ledger they couldn't deny. And this time, it wouldn't be silent. By the weekend, whispers had started circling in our extended family. My aunt called first, her voice tight. Haley, is it true you cut your parents off? After everything they did for you? I bit down hard on my lip. Their narrative was spreading faster than I could defend myself. Somehow, I had become the villain. Ungrateful daughter, selfish sister. The one who abandoned her family. Meanwhile, my sister basked in sympathy, telling anyone who would listen that she had carried the family on her back. But the numbers said otherwise. And soon, everyone would see. That night, I opened my laptop and created a folder. The Truth Project. Inside, I scanned the certified bank records, labeling each by date and purpose. Every $300 grocery top-up, every $400 temporary loan, every $5,000 emergency bailout. I paired each transfer with text messages where my parents had begged for help, their words dripping with urgency. "Please, Haley, your sister is busy. You know she can't handle money. Just this once." Just this once, repeated dozens of times. The more I compiled, the clearer the pattern became. I wasn't just helping. I was the lifeline. And lifelines, once severed, leave people gasping. Still, my chest ached. Part of me wished it wasn't true, that my parents hadn't chosen lies over loyalty, that they hadn't erased my sacrifices with one cruel chuckle. But denial was no longer an option. 2 days later, Dad showed up at my apartment door, gray-faced and sweating. He didn't ask to come in, he barged. "What are you trying to do, Haley? Ruin us? Embarrass us in front of everyone?" I held his gaze, calm but steady. "I'm not ruining you. I'm reminding you." He slammed his hand against the counter. "We told you. We never got that money." I slid the stack of certified statements across the table. His eyes dropped. His hand shook. For the first time, I saw fear flicker behind his anger. Because denial works until the paper trail walks into the room. And my trail had just arrived. Dad's hands trembled as he flipped through the stack. Every page was a mirror, reflecting back the truth he had sworn never existed. I watched his jaw clench, his breath grow shallow. He wasn't looking at numbers. He was looking at years of betrayal exposed in black ink. "Where did you get these?" he muttered. I almost laughed. "From the bank. From reality." "Where do you think?" For the first time in my life, my father, the man who always thundered over every room, seemed small. But before he could answer, my phone buzzed. A new message from my sister. "Careful, Haley. Some things are better left buried." Buried. The word sent a chill down my spine. She wasn't just covering lies. She was protecting something bigger. Something darker. I met Dad's eyes. "So that's the game? Pretend the money never existed. Keep me the villain, while she hides behind your silence." He said nothing, only shoved the papers back toward me, like they burned his skin. "Don't bring this up again," he snapped, voice breaking. But it was already too late. That night, I couldn't sleep. I walked circles around my living room, the glow of the city seeping through the blinds. Every text, every receipt, every sacrifice spun in my head. I had been their shield, their provider, their scapegoat. And when I stopped bleeding for them, they twisted the knife. I opened my laptop again. The Truth Project had grown. Now, I began drafting a letter, not for them, but for the people who had been fed their lies. Aunts, uncles, cousins, friends who had looked at me with judgment in their eyes. The letter began with 6 words. Numbers don't lie, but people do. By the time I signed my name, my pulse had steadied. I wasn't just fighting for acknowledgement. I was reclaiming my voice. And the louder I wrote, the quieter their lies became. Sunday dinner was supposed to be family time. Instead, it became my stage. I walked into my parents' house with a manila envelope tucked under my arm. My sister was already there, lounging on the couch, her smile sharp as glass. "Haley," she purred. "Finally decided to apologize?" I laid the envelope on the dining table and slid it across. Not an apology. Evidence. Mom frowned, but curiosity got the better of her. She pulled out the papers, certified transfers, receipts, messages begging for help. Her eyes darted across the lines, her face draining of color. Dad shifted uncomfortably in his chair. My sister, however, only rolled her eyes. "This doesn't prove anything," she scoffed. "Anyone can fake paperwork." I leaned in, my voice low but steady. "Then explain the matching withdrawals from your account the very next day. $700 here, $1,200 there. You were the one spending it, weren't you?" Her smirk faltered for just a second, enough for Mom to notice. The silence was thick, suffocating. For years, I had been their invisible lifeline, the daughter who gave without question. But now, The truth was laid bare, and my sister's polished facade was cracking. Dad tried to regain control. "Haley, enough. This isn't the place." "Isn't the place?" I cut him off. "This is exactly the place. Right here, at the same table where you compared me to her, where you said I'd never measure up. Well, guess what? I was the one holding this family together while she drained it dry." Mom's hands shook as she set the papers down. My sister glared daggers, her mask slipping into rage. And in that moment, I realized something chilling. They hadn't just denied me. They had conspired to rewrite history, to erase me from the narrative altogether. But numbers and courage have a way of burning through lies. And this fire had only just begun. The fallout began the next morning. By dawn, my inbox was flooding. Aunts, uncles, cousins, all forwarding the letter I had sent with the attachments. Some messages were awkward silence, others sharp with disbelief. But a few carried quiet apologies. "We had no idea, Haley. Your sister always said she was the one paying. You deserved better." Each note cut and healed in equal measure. Meanwhile, my sister launched her counterattack. On social media, she painted me as unstable and obsessed with money. She posted smiling photos of Mom and Dad, captioned, "Family means love, not ledgers." The comments flooded with sympathy. But beneath the surface, doubt had been seeded. Because the documents were real, the numbers were undeniable. That afternoon, Dad called again. This time, his voice wasn't thunder, it was gravel. "Haley, what do you want from us?" I closed my eyes. What did I want? Not money, not repayment, just acknowledgement. The simple truth spoken aloud. I had given, and they had taken. But asking for truth from liars was like begging for water from stone. "I want you to stop pretending," I said softly. "That's all." There was silence on the line, broken only by his ragged breathing. Finally, he whispered, "You'll destroy this family." "No," I replied. "You already did when you erased me." That night, I lit a single candle in my apartment. The documents spread before me. The flicker illuminated every number, every sacrifice. My heart should have felt heavy. Instead, it felt light, as if every page was peeling their weight off my shoulders. I realized then, revenge wasn't about shattering them. It was about reclaiming myself. And once you've tasted freedom from lies, there's no going back to silence. Tomorrow, the world would hear the story in my voice, not theirs. And my sister's perfect mask? It was already crumbling. The invitation came disguised as a peace offering. "Family dinner. One last chance to talk this through," Mom's message read. I almost deleted it, but something inside me whispered, "Go." Not to reconcile, but to watch the truth fracture under its own weight. When I arrived, the house was too quiet. My sister was already seated at the table, arms crossed, a glass of wine in hand. Dad stared at his plate, unable to meet my eyes. Mom smiled, brittle and desperate. "We don't need to drag this out," my sister began. "Haley's making a fool of herself, sending letters, parading numbers around like they matter. Families aren't built on spreadsheets." I slid a small black binder across the table. Families aren't built on lies either. Inside were not only the certified records, but screenshots of her spending, the vacations she took, the luxury handbags she flaunted, all within days of my transfers. Mom's face drained of color. Dad finally looked up, eyes hollow. My sister's mask shattered. "You had no right," she hissed. "No right?" My voice rose, steady and sharp. "I had every right. Because while you were sipping champagne in Cabo, I was working double shifts to cover bills you swore you'd handle. While you posted filtered photos of hard work paying off, I was sending the money that made it possible." Silence thickened. Mom's hands trembled. Dad rubbed his temples like the truth was a migraine he couldn't bear. I leaned back, letting the binder sit like a live grenade between us. "I'm done explaining. You can deny me, but you can't deny the evidence. The world knows now. And sooner or later, you'll have to answer for it." My sister's lips curled into a snarl. But her eyes gave her away.
Fear.
Because she knew what I knew. Masks can only hold so long under the weight of truth. And hers was seconds from collapsing completely. The binder sat between us like a final verdict. No one touched it. No one dared. I stood, calm in a way I hadn't felt in years. You don't have to admit it, I said quietly. The numbers already have. My sister's mouth opened, but no sound came. Mom blinked rapidly, as if tears could wash away the ledger of truth. Dad just stared at the table, shoulders slumped under the weight of silence. For the first time, I realized I didn't need their words. Their denial wasn't my burden anymore. My proof had spoken louder than their lies ever could. I gathered the binder, slid it into my bag, and turned to the door. This isn't about destroying you, I said, pausing. It's about saving me. When I stepped outside, the air felt different, crisp, lighter, almost forgiving. The night sky stretched wide above me, and for once, it didn't feel like a ceiling pressing down. It felt like a horizon. The days that followed were strangely quiet. No more late-night calls demanding explanations. No more relatives judging me from the sidelines. One by one, people reached out not to accuse, but to listen. The truth had already started doing its quiet work, reshaping the story that had been twisted against me. And my sister? She went silent online. Her glossy posts vanished. Her curated image dissolved without a single word from me. Lies, after all, require constant feeding. But the truth, it survives on its own. One evening, I burned the last stack of receipts I hadn't filed. Watching the papers curl into ash, I finally let go. Not of the money, not of the years, but of the need for their recognition. They tried to erase me. They tried to bury me under denial. But I had written myself back into the story, not with their approval, but with my own resolve. And in the quiet crackle of flames, I understood. Freedom isn't them admitting what they did. Freedom is me walking forward without their permission.